Thank you very much. And thank you very much for properly recognizing the public's interest in this hearing. My name is Mark Henkels. I'm a citizen of Benton County. I live at 7540 Northeast Pettibone Drive in the Lewisburg area. I'm speaking today in opposition to LU 24-027. I have two concerns which I believe have not been properly clearly addressed in this process, at least until tonight. These concerns tie into how the expansion will affect adjacent properties and the character of the area. The first major category is how waste disposal increases that are projected will shorten the landfill's life and increase the impacts on the community. Republic Services' own diagram tells the story. Once the expansion occurs, they propose to raise the intake from the current cap of 1.1 million tons per year to 1.5 million tons in the first 4 years, a 36% jump, and then up to 1.86 million tons in years 5 and 6. That's a 78% increase over what most capacity projections use. The county's estimate of the 12-year life for this expansion is based on lower volumes. If you increase the flow, the space fills faster. At these levels, the quarry and the expansion combined could hit capacity sooner than if we just kept filling the quarry at the current intake levels. More relevant here for the criteria is that the higher the volume dumped per year, the greater the real impact on adjacent properties and the character of the area. Repeatedly in this process, we have heard how the doubling of the annual dumping in the last decade has affected the surrounded area. And I live 7.5 miles away from the dump, and I am much more, the landfill, I am much more aware of the operations today than I ever was before, and I certainly smell it more often. So this is no longer a small facility up on the hill. It's an industrial scale operation. Expansion means more trucks, more noise, more odor, and a more visible trash mountain dominating Northeast Benton County. The second major area that I am concerned about are how the conditions of approval won't be enough to protect the public. The staff report contains many conditions. I counted 25 that were numbered, many of which contain multiple points. And overall, if you look at all the different points, I heard the number 83 earlier today. I think there could be 87 total specifications. The sheer number of conditions raises a red flag. If this project and if this application is complete and this project truly fit our community and our landscape, why are there so many special rules to try to contain its impacts? Instead of considering whether the impacts on the adjacent lands, public facilities, and the area's character invalidate the proposal, the staff report assumes the proposal's risks, uncertainties, and known consequences have simple fixes. I kind of couldn't help but wonder if I had a contractor come to me and I felt like I better make such an extensive list of additional prohibitions and requirements because I feared how the work would turn out, I would not hire that person. And let's be honest, once a project like this is approved and construction begins, it is very hard to stop it, even if things go wrong. In economics and in management, there's a term called sunk costs. It means that once you've invested time and money into something, you become very reluctant to abandon it. Both the county and Republican Services are already deeply invested in this expansion, but will be even more so should this expansion be approved. The staff report recommends a deadline for meeting the preliminary condition of 4 years with a 1-year extension possible, for example. But what planning official would say no to the applicant who says, we've already spent millions, we just need a little more time? So the 4-year deadline, bold-faced in the report, is probably superfluous to begin with. A second, greater concern to me is a staff's report recommendation about what happens if the conditions are not met. The report states, failure to comply with the operational approval conditions may result in the revocation of conditional use permit. May result in revocation means very little in practice. The concept of sunk costs indicates that once the permit is granted, and once the county is getting used to that flow of money, and once Republic Services has increased its investments and its commitment to legally battling any effort to stop it, the operation will never stop. That's human nature. That's organizational logic, and that's actually public administration reality. Now, it's also notable that some of these conditions simply don't solve the bigger problems. A few rows of trees won't hide a landfill that's visible for miles, from Tampico Road, from Independence Highway, from E.E. Wilson. Nor will restore the views of the Coast Range lost its industrial presence. Finally, as noted earlier, enforcement is a major concern. Many of the conditions here were adopted in reflection of past or ongoing problems. Republic's poor record on methane emissions shows what happens when we rely on the corporation's self-monitoring. The county may require compliance with state and federal standards, but also admits it lacks the capacity to independently monitor or enforce impacts on groundwater, methane, and other air pollutants, leachate, or PFAS. Even for this report, staff noted it lacked the capacity to review the groundwater data. Depending on state and federal agencies for monitoring and enforcement is simply inadequate. The EPA is spiraling downwards, especially in enforcement. The DEQ publicly admits it cannot fulfill its responsibilities. The county does not even pretend to have such capacity. This is just not the right path for our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Henkels. Appreciate it.